when's the next primary thing coming up?
So Nevada, and then, do you say Nevada or Nevada?
I think I say Nevada.
And then South Carolina. But the one they're talking about is
South Carolina. Well, so do you think, so Nevada's next, and I got in trouble for saying biopic also.
I think you just gotta commit,
Look,
you're gonna say things different than other people.
I say Nevada, I say biopic, and I call small moving pictures GIFs. It's a hard G, and I'm gonna die on those hills. I'm just not changing. I've said biopic too long at this point to change it. So Nevada's the next one on February 8th. I gotta get this cut before then. And you think Haley is gonna hang on to see how South Carolina goes? Like how long do you think she's gonna stick it out? Because New Hampshire was the last one, right? And that went better for her than I thought it was going to go. I thought the spread was going to be much larger.
She spent too much money there. She spent almost $100 million in Iowa, and that was like early reporting. So it's very possible that she spent more than that. So she came to play in Iowa, and I think she knew what she was up against in New Hampshire. I think she knew those were more her people, and that would be easier, so she didn't invest quite as much. I think the next one that she's really investing in is South Carolina. That's her home state. Yeah. And she's not polling terribly well there. So, which I think speaks for itself.
Yeah, that's not, I mean, if you're the former governor and you can't poll well, that's terrible. Like, I know people put a lot of stock in Iowa because it's, first in the nation, whatever, but we were talking about the other day that it's like it's like a specific crowd. Like,
it is.
Iowa and New Hampshire are such different states and demographics, and we were both sad to see Vivek drop out early right after Iowa because you had said that's such a terrible strategy. His team really failed him on that one.
That was my biggest criticism of him in general, is that he should have gone into it knowing that all of his effort in Iowa was useless. He should have focused on New Hampshire to begin with, because Iowa, that's not his voter base. Yeah. Those aren't his people.
Right.
I think he was really hoping for a Trump-style upset there.
Yeah.
Because that's what Trump did in Iowa in particular, and everybody was like, what is happening? These waspy white people are voting for this very clearly Democratic guy. And I think that Trump really surprised a lot of people in Iowa, and Vivek was hoping to do something similar and sweep up the people who were just tired of the Trump drama. But New Hampshire would have been a better play for him.
Yeah. Now, I thought basically once everybody else dropped out that, like, I kind of thought Haley was writing as, I saw her as like the best of the second, because everybody's been second place, right? I mean, like, everybody at this point knows Trump's the nominee. I mean, I enjoy watching this stuff. I love talking about it with you, but I have no illusions that anybody but Trump is going to be the Republican nominee. So it was always just kind of an interesting, like, hey, who's going to be in second place, right? And I always kind of saw her as everybody's kind of like best of second. Like, nobody was really excited about DeSantis. People are very iffy on Vivek for some reason. And Haley's, she's got experience. I think a lot of Republicans are like, hey, she's a woman of color. That's great. Looks good for us. We're not the party of old white guys, right? They were really excited about that. So I always figured that, though, once everybody fell off, that kind of the mask would fall off her as well. And the people that pretend to like her would be like, okay, well, now that the fun is over and she's not beating up on DeSantis or Vivek or Tim Scott or whatever, that they would all just kind of go, okay, well, we had our fun. Now it's time to get behind Trump, and we're gonna trudge forward with that. But she did really. I mean, what was the final? It was like 55-45 in New Hampshire.
It was pretty close to New Hampshire. Yeah.
Yeah. So what are your thoughts? Do you think that's going to give her a lot of momentum going forward? Like, do you think she's going to do really well in Nevada, or do you think as time goes on, the novelty of second place contender is going to wear off and people are going to kind of get into that, all right, well, it's Trump, we better just accept it and move forward?
Yeah, I don't know. What I think is interesting about these two candidates in particular is that they both play really well to a more moderate voter. So you're looking at Haley, they both appeal to Republican-leaning Democrats at this point. And so they're fighting for a similar voter base, in my opinion. I think we're going to see them really struggle to get it. Basically, at this point, it comes down to what's your opinion on war?
Right.
Are you okay if we're policing everywhere? Or would you prefer we bring everybody home and we focus on us for a minute and we date ourselves for a few years? Like, that I think is going to be the deciding factor between the two. What's really difficult at this point is that Trump has just widespread support that is just, it's so insane, the support that he has. I mean, it is just, it's crazy, loyal people, you know, but I think what Haley has is money.
Right.
And so that's
something Vivek tried to get her on, was pointing out just how much money and just how much military industrial complex money that she has. He really tried to play that up. Obviously, that
and hopefully Trump will take a page from that book, that playbook, as they move forward. But they've canceled all the debates leading up to these primaries. Mm-hmm. Neither Trump nor Haley will participate, and so they canceled them. And I think Haley's in it for the long run. I don't think she's going to drop out if she does poorly in South Carolina, like a lot of people are speculating. I don't think she's dropping out. I think she's got the money to keep going, and so she's going to keep going, and she's banking on the fact that he's going to end up in prison. Yeah.
See, I think that I think anybody that wants to see him in prison, they waited too long. Because at this point, now 6 months away from the election, if all of a sudden a bunch of stuff comes in and they go, oh, we're convicting him and all that, you don't think that his base is going to... I mean, I'm not even a supporter of his. I voted Libertarian the last 2-3 elections. I don't like his domestic policies, but even I would look at that like, really? Really, right before the election, that's when suddenly you had 4 years to figure all of this out, but now suddenly in the middle of the race when he's leading... Now all of a sudden the charges are going to come up. That looks fishy. I don't care who you are. I would hope that even Democrats who are intellectually honest would look at that and go, that feels off. That feels very, very off. Mm-hmm. And I think that you're right that he's going to, or he should, point out her kind of pro-war stance. Because when people talk about Trump, they, like his supporters, and you say, why do you like him? They will almost always bring up the fact that like he canceled 3 wars during his term. Mm-hmm. We didn't have any issues abroad. We had no issues with Iran. We had no issues with Russia. We had no issues with China. Mm-hmm. You know, and it was only a 4-year period, but people point out like there were no foreign conflicts. As a matter of fact, we had fewer foreign conflicts under Trump. And I got to agree with him on that. I do like that. I don't agree with Haley thinking that we need to have bases all over the world. We need to police the entire world. We're already spending 25% of our budget on our military. And while I wasn't crazy about Trump's spending domestically, you just cannot deny his foreign policy record. And I think that if he doesn't hammer on that in his stump speeches and whatnot, I think he's missing a huge opportunity.
I think so too. I also think that one of his best plays, and I'm certain he's got it in his back pocket, is that he's going to villainize her as the very type of established government that's coming for him. Because that's what his base wants. They want people to hang for how they're treating him. Mm-hmm. He has exposed in the eyes of his base this deep state idea that, you know, everyone is out to get him and he's their actual voice, and that's why they want him to go down, and it's assassination by public opinion. And I think that probably his best play at this point is to establish the fact that she is establishment. Yeah. She is the very type of crook that's coming for him. She's part of their mob. And I think that his voter base would respond really, really well to that.
Yeah, I agree. Now, tinfoil hat moment for a second. I think the establishment would love to see a Trump presidency because though he is popular, my opinion is he's absolutely destroying the Republican Party. Yeah. The Republican Party at this point, they are not Republican voters. They are Trump voters. Mm-hmm. There is a cult of personality around him, and he only has 1 term left. So if I were, Mr. Deep State, I'm looking forward, right, Illuminati, whatever you want to call it, I would love it if Trump were president for the next 4 years. Do Democrats think he's going to do damage and all this, whatever? Yeah, I'm sure there's things that he's going to do they don't agree with. But then once he's gone, the Republican Party is dead.
Yeah, that's true.
And so I really hope that the Republicans are kind of thinking about this. I'm sure some of them are the never Trumpers and stuff. I think they're forward looking in that aspect of like, what do we do once this guy's gone? Mm-hmm. He's not loyal to the party in any way. As a matter of fact, that's what his That's what his supporters love so much about him, because he calls out, the Republican Party, the RNC, the establishment, all of these things. But I think what they're not thinking about is going forward, then basically it's going to be Democrats sweeping, and they're not going to be happy with that. A lot of Trump voters are not going to be happy when the Democrats are just sweeping everything, because people are hating Trump so much that they're voting against him. I mean, I honestly, I don't see any other election where Joe Biden wins unless he's going against somebody like Trump that people hate so much. They're like, well, we got to vote for Joe because he's not Trump.
See, that's my tinfoil hat moment, is that I'm terrified that they're still running Biden. Mm-hmm. And we've talked about this, and I've said this to you before, and I understand that it sounds really crazy, but it really doesn't sit well with me that they're so comfortable running Biden. Mm-hmm. That the party has gotten on board and they're like, great, this is what we're doing. We are into February now of an election year, and Biden is still their candidate. And that to me is terrifying, because it means they think they can win with him.
Right.
It means they have it so in the pocket. They know exactly how they're going to do it, that it doesn't matter what patsy they stand up in front of us. They're going to win the election by whatever means necessary.
Yeah.
And so that is the scary thing to me. It's not if Trump wins. I mean, Haley does unsettle me for similar reasons, but it really worries me that they are confident and comfortable saying Biden's our guy, because it means they already know they've won.
Right.
They don't have to have a good candidate.
Because
in fact, I don't think they want a good candidate. I think they want a docile one.
Yeah.
And so there's my tinfoil hat for the day.
It's just, it worries me the direction that American politics is going, because for the last, 4 or 5 elections at this point now, we're getting into a real deep rut here where both sides suck. Yeah. And I know that is going to, people are going to be, oh, Trump didn't suck. Yes, he did suck. He straight up lied to his constituents. And I know a lot of Trump voters don't want to hear that, but guys, as good as his foreign policy was, he fully lied to people. We're going to build the wall and Mexico's going to pay for it. No, they're not. They never were going to.
Yeah.
I'm going to put Hillary in jail. No, you weren't. The president of the United States is not going to go after a single individual and make sure that they go to jail. That's ridiculous. Mm-hmm. I'm going to drain the swamp. Never actually happened. Like, there were so many I'm not going to golf as much as Obama. Golf twice as much as Obama. Right. I'm not going to do as many executive orders as Obama. He ruled by executive order. Dude wrote twice as many as Obama. And Obama served 2 terms to his 1, and he still wrote more executive orders. So there were all kinds of straight up lies that he told his constituents. Mm-hmm. So he was not a good candidate. He is not a good candidate right now. Joe Biden is not a good candidate. Hillary Clinton was not a good candidate. For over 2 decades at this point, we've had shit candidate versus shit candidate, and both sides are like, well,
lesser of two evils.
I don't want the other shit candidate, so I got to vote for this guy. And we wonder why the actual turnout is so low and why the independent class is so large. It's because nobody actually likes any of these people. And yeah, we've been doing the lesser of two evils thing for a long, long time. And if you want my second tinfoil hat moment, I agree with you. I think that's on purpose. I think you're absolutely right. They love these docile candidates. Yeah. They love people who really suck, but the other guy sucks too, and it's just controlled opposition on both sides, and they just hand it back and forth. Meanwhile, the government continues to grow the entire time. We spend more and more every year. We just get deeper and deeper into debt, no matter who's in charge, and that worries me a lot.
Yeah, I totally agree. I really liked Vivek. I think that a big problem that Trump had is that he didn't run the government like he would run a corporation. Mm-hmm. I think that as a CEO, your primary objective is vision casting and is good hiring and putting people in the place to execute your vision. And I think that he got too in the weeds of this is what we got to do and this is the policy we've got to run. And I'm not saying that well. I don't think he cast the vision. I think he tried to execute it himself.
Yes.
And that's not why we wanted a CEO in the executive branch of the government.